Alright, hello there and a very warm welcome to Generation Me. This is Tshering Wangchuk and today I'm here at Harmony Youth Center here at Department of Youth and Sports and right now I'm with one of the senior volunteers. Let's talk more with the senior volunteer and find out what is volunteerism all about. Let's talk more about why volunteerism is important for young people. All right, welcome to the program.
I am Tshering Wangchuk. By profession, I am a tour guide, and I've been volunteering for around 8 years now in the Harmony Youth Center.
All right, it's quite interesting. I mean, you have been volunteering at the Harmony Youth Center for 8 years, right? So you're still volunteering.
Yes.
Although, I mean, you have a different profession, and you also volunteer. So, what really inspires you to volunteer?
Well, like I said already, during my speech this morning, giving to others makes me quite happy, and then I found myself that others' happiness is more important to me. So I thought that there's nothing like volunteering to satisfy myself. So that's why I started in 2010, and I'm still volunteering because that's kind of my passion, and I never want to stop it, so I'm still doing it.
All right, tell us, how did you discover that volunteerism inside you, How did you discover that volunteering or volunteerism is a passion?
Well, it was during the high school days when I was in 12th grade, and then I was serving as a captain again there. I was a member of Scout, and I was the Scouts captain. And Scouts is also always related to social activities and community services. So whenever we did activities and community services, I always felt that I was satisfied for doing things for free for the community and for the services. So it was when I was in Scout that I discovered that I have some interest in volunteering, because I never backed up in doing anything, even from the high school days. But before that, to be honest, I was a little bit shy. But right after getting that leadership sense in me, I found out that I was quite interested in volunteerism, and then I started in the year 2010.
What is the relationship between your shyness and volunteering?
Well, shyness, there could be so many definitions for shyness, but talking about myself, I would go to the classrooms. Teachers would always ask questions in general, and sometimes they would pinpoint, but I was never in both situations. Even if the teachers would pinpoint me, I would know the answer sometimes, but I would never tell it because I was so shy. I could not open up. That's why I found myself that my level of public speaking in the public was quite low. So that's what I consider shyness. Yeah, I would definitely go back to the school days when we talk about the shyness. And I never went out in the public also, back then in the primary school days.
But how did volunteering or volunteerism help you, open up?
Well, now being a member, after being a part of a volunteer group, you cannot be shy. As a volunteer, you are a leader. Okay. Especially when you talk about the youth center here, we conduct so many programs as a volunteer, and you are a volunteer. And if you cannot speak up to the public, that's where volunteering is of getting no use. Of course, the moment I started in 2010, I just didn't get all those confidence, magically. It actually took time. There were so many friends. We started with around 9 volunteers, but few of them were quite confident. We learned from them. We were facilitating so many activities, and I wasn't the full facilitator back then. I was a co-facilitator where I didn't have to do anything actually. I just would do the logistic things, and I would never facilitate because I couldn't do that. But as time, it's time which teaches you everything. And within a couple of years, I didn't know that I was growing up in a real good way.
Let's talk more about volunteer, Tell me, who is a volunteer?
Well, now we can see so many volunteers, and each and everyone would have a different definition. Mm-hmm. But for me, giving your service or providing your services for free for the happiness of others is volunteerism. And then I feel, you have that sense of satisfaction when you give your services for free. So that's volunteerism for me.
Anyway, so far, during these 8 years, I mean, you volunteered for 8 years. I mean, you're still volunteering, right? So, what are some of the most inspiring things that you learned, from volunteering?
Well, there are so many things. Like if we could count, I could talk for days. I mean, there are so many inspiring things that we learn every day. But the most inspiring thing for me is when you do volunteerism and when you give services to others. There are those service receivers who come to you and say that, job well done. Thank you very much. It's because of you that I am landing in this place today. Thank you so much. And when people say that, I feel that the sense of satisfaction in me.
All right, Toshi, if you could tell us your regular responsibilities as a volunteer here at the Harmony Youth Center.
Well, before when I started, I was just a regular volunteer. I would facilitate a number of programs like reading classes, music classes, table tennis coaching. But now, since my colleagues, my volunteers would joke saying that I am the father in this volunteer group. So basically now I manage the volunteers, and I would say that I give them advice now.
Okay. Let me ask you this question. It's regarding today's event,
Yes.
the Youth Festival. So what's your role in today's event, I mean, for this Youth Festival? What's your role as a volunteer?
Yes, since I am one of the oldest and the senior most volunteer here, we have around 11 or 12 youth center in the country. So in Thimphu we have 4 youth centers, but for today we are 3 youth centers coming together: the Harmony Youth Center, Changjiji Youth Center, and the Khachadapchi Youth Center. And all the volunteers, they came up together, and then I am coordinating the 3 youth center volunteers in this youth festival.
So how important is this event, I mean, the Youth Festival, to you as volunteers? I mean, in fact, to all the volunteers, how important is it for you?
Well, there are so many youth-led groups today in Bhutan. But for this youth festival, we have 9 youth groups. And of course, we have different names. We vary in number of the members. But youth festival like this is very important for me. Though we have different names, we vary in number of the members. Each and every one of us have common objectives and goals to serve the community. So when festival like this is organized, each and every youth group, we come together, and then we get this opportunity to work together for our common objective and goal.
Tell us more about that common objective.
Each and every youth groups have their guidelines, their operating guidelines, and even we do. And if you go through that operating guidelines, it's a ditto thing. Everybody want to promote volunteerism. Okay. All the groups want to promote volunteerism. All the group wants to be a part of the community, for serving the community, not in a bigger way, but in a small way. So every group have that common motto and objective. So we have different names, but we have common objectives.
Common objectives. One of them is promoting volunteerism, yes. Right? All right. So tell us, how do you think this kind of event, this kind of youth festival will help promote volunteerism among the youth?
Well, we are aiming, or we are hoping that so many young people would come and gather here in the Harmony Youth Center. And when so many young people come, because the festival is for the young people, okay. And when the young people come in, it's our hope that they will see us. And then if we can convince them the importance of volunteerism, even if we can convince 1 or 2 young people in this youth festival, we'll see that we have achieved it. Because little tiny drops of water makes a mighty ocean. So even if we get 1 new volunteer, it would be an achievement for us. So I feel that festival like this is important to gather more young people so that we can have more volunteers in the near future.
So otherwise, how do you try to promote a sense of volunteerism among the young people?
Well, the first thing is we cannot go in a broader and a bigger way, but first and foremost thing, we try to convince our own friends. And after that, we have quite a number of volunteers here in the Harmony Center. So we tell all the youth volunteers to convince your friends in the schools. And we have a plan in the future that we will go in the schools now to gather volunteers in a group.
Why do you think it is important for young people to know about volunteerism or to volunteer?
Well, you talk about the job market today in the community in Batam. What do we need? We need we need confidence, we need experience. And by the age of 1920, and if you're done with 12 or graduation, where do you get the experience from? In a college? College and schools is just for studies. You don't have hands-on experience in that. You be a volunteer. You do all sorts of things. Now, if you talk about the younger guys who have just finished 12 or graduate, tell them to write a note sheet or tell them to write a report. They can do, of course, but there are so many systems and formats that how the government system works. And I don't know about the other youth groups, but here in this youth center division, since it's a government agency, even if you need a pencil or eraser, we have to put in requisition. So, so many little things we learn when you volunteer, starting from putting a requisition to writing note sheets. So I feel that if you have that kind of experiences, and even now job demands experiences, but I cannot guarantee that my volunteer experiences would be guaranteed in other job fields, but I feel that I would have something better than the other younger people.
All right, so since you're one of the most senior volunteers, if you could tell us, who can become volunteer, or, what are some of the qualities required to become a volunteer?
Well, qualities as such, you just have to have a heart to become a volunteer. If you have a heart, if you have a good heart, anyone can become volunteer. That's what I feel.
That's it. All right, Tashi, let's talk something about nation development, nation building in connection to volunteerism. Well, as one of the volunteers, if you could, tell us how can, volunteering or volunteerism can contribute towards nation building or nation development?
Well, I feel that there is a very much a good connectivity to nation building in volunteerism. Of course, we cannot do it in bigger things, but talk about keeping our country clean. There are so many agencies, NGOs, COs, CSOs, Green Bhutan, Clean Bhutan. We do so many cleaning campaigns again in the volunteering group. Now, when we say nation building, of course, we cannot build bridges, we cannot build roads in the community, but at least we can help keeping our country clean. As a youth volunteer in the youth center, most of our works are related with the sustainable development goals. And we clean our community in a grassroots level. That could be nation building. We plant trees. So that's how we can contribute in the community. And if you look in a broader sense, that's also nation building. That's what I feel. But like I said, we cannot build bridges and roads in the community. Simple things, cleaning, planting trees, making the youth, the young people come together and make them feel that how it is important. Just being a volunteer you can be a part of nation building because you're doing something good to the community. And when you do something good to the community, that is again related to nation building.
Well, Atashi, you have been volunteering for a very, very long time, since during your school days, and here at the center, it has been 8 years, right?
Yes.
And you have a regular job, right? Tell us, how do you, find time to volunteer despite, also doing your regular job of a guide?
Well, since tourism business in the country is seasonal, it doesn't go for all year long. And the off-season, the lean season, we call it, the lean season for tourists is the time when the kids have summer vacation. And another lean season for the tourist is where the students have the winter vacation. So my interest, it's because I'm very much passionate about volunteerism, and that even I could manage time very easily because my work gives me an opportunity to volunteer. So to be honest, I don't know about the other volunteers, but I've seen my colleagues, my volunteers having difficult times to manage times, but for me, time management has not been an issue when I volunteer.
All right, Tashi, thank you very much for being on Generation Mila.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, all right, that was senior volunteer Tashi Tshering, and he has been volunteering for about 8 years at Harmony Youth Center here at Department of Youth and Sports. Well, we talked about the importance of volunteerism, how young people can contribute as volunteers. Well, all right, Tashi, thank you very much for being on the program. This is me, Tshering Wangchuk, signing off for Generation Me, and thank you very much for listening.